It all started as a simple idea, an idea to develop a multi-county training exercise to test first responder capability. In time, this idea grew to be one of the largest training exercises in the nation. The group that had pondered this concept was the Western Piedmont Emergency Management Task Force. The task force began the planning process for a full-scale regional cooperation exercise when the task force emergency managers realized this was a trailblazing project, the first in South Carolina and the Southeast. Stretching the exercise over multiple days and involving over 100 agencies, the 5 counties made this incredibly complex task a reality. Planning efforts spanned over 8 months and included experts from across the nation. Partnering with local critical infrastructure industries, Clemson University, the U.S. Army Reserve provided a regional approach to emergency management and emergency response operations during a disaster. The Western Piedmont Emergency Task Force, which consists of Abbeville, Anderson, Greenwood, Oconee, and Pickens counties in the upstate of South Carolina, has been in existence for around 6 years. The task force was started when 2 emergency managers struck up a conversation on how they could potentially share vital resources and assistance across state lines. The original idea for the task force would give immediate access to equipment, personnel, expertise, and vitally needed assistance without having to go through a lengthy process if and when a disaster occurs. Over the years that the task force has been up and running, there have been countless examples of unprecedented cooperation which provided a high enhanced level of service and emergency response. Over the years, the relationships that have been built between these counties ensures, among emergency managers and first responders, a seamless integration of personnel, equipment, and assets. Former territorial boundaries that used to exist have long since evaporated, and total cooperation in times of need has been the end result. At a disaster summit held in Clemson, South Carolina in October of 2009, the concept of this multi-county training exercise took on a new dimension. Members of the task force had observed the Red Dragon exercise in Wisconsin back in 2009. Red Dragon is the military component designed to help local and state agencies when they are overwhelmed by a chemical, biological, or radiological disaster. Palmetto Shield became the name of the exercise and became integrated into the annual South Carolina Emergency Training Exercise. The upstate region of South Carolina was chosen as one of the locations for the 2010 Red Dragon exercise. Planning sessions to create realistic scenarios were held with the goal of testing not only first responders but also the ability of law enforcement and intelligence gathering agencies. The end result was the largest exercise of its kind in the nation. Over 100 agencies, including local, state, and federal, even private organizations, were involved, with thousands of participants. Each of the participating counties tested their most vulnerable areas of concern, including dams, nuclear power facilities, and major railroad depots. The exercise climaxed with a mass casualty and hazardous materials event, which simulated a large number of people being killed and hundreds seriously wounded and contaminated by an explosion that contained a deadly chemical. This scenario included not just the regional task force, but reached out well beyond for assistance from a number of neighboring counties. There are some that may question the need for such a large-scale exercise in a relatively rural region of South Carolina. However, the truth is that disasters of any kind, both natural and man-made, can occur anywhere. An exercise that tests to the limits the local and regional capacity ensures that a challenge of a smaller-scale incident will be easily met. One of the greatest benefits of such an exercise is not just learning what works, but most important, identifying and exposing areas of potential weakness and threats in your disaster planning and response. What was learned by all in this exercise will be an invaluable resource in developing response plans and strategies that will benefit the entire region in the years ahead. The vision for the Western Piedmont Emergency Management Task Force is simple: to keep building on our solid foundation. Currently, the task force is beginning to forge relationships that will ultimately cross state lines and grow the task force into a multi-state regional entity. There are many common threats faced by each county that could impact not only the task force counties in our state, but also our surrounding states and even beyond. The Western Piedmont Regional Emergency Management Task Force and this recent exercise is an indicator that some truly special things are happening in this region of South Carolina. The Western Piedmont Regional Emergency Management Task Force is just another example of South Carolinians performing traditional roles in non-traditional ways.